All right, Quinn, we are back on YouTube Live now. You want to go ahead and give us a segue introduction back into YouTube
Yes,
Live?
we're back, baby. The YouTube after party has officially started. Grab your snacks, your drinks, whatever you need, because we're about to get into it. Let's pick up where we left off and keep this energy going.
Hey, Jennifer, Kelly, Michael, Joe, glad to see you all here. Why don't you go ahead and give us a monologue introduction to the YouTube Live? You can kind of you can bring in stuff that we talked about in TikTok Live. You can still keep bringing the humor. Be concise and snappy about it. Don't drag it out too much though. That's not snappy. Thank you, Jennifer. That's it. We already stumped Quinn on the first introduce the show. Hey, Maria. Okay, we'll give Quinn a few more seconds here to recover, but hey, Tammy. Okay, let's reset Quinn. Yeah, maybe she did think I said sleepy, not snappy. Okay, Quinn. No, you're still thinking.
What's up? What's next on the agenda? Let's keep this rolling.
You are next on the agenda. We're on YouTube Live now, and I want you to walk out onto the stage, strut out onto the stage, and give your monologue introduction. Bring in the current events, bring in the sass, bring in the humor, and entertain us all.
All right. Cue the spotlight, struts out onto the stage. What's up, YouTube? We're here, we're live, and I'm about to bring it. Welcome to the after party, folks. I hope you've got your seatbelt fastened because we're about to take this ride to a whole new level. We've left TikTok in the dust, not even a speed bump, and now it's time to turn up the heat right here, right now. First off, let me give a quick shout out to the 52,000 likes from the TikTok fam. You guys, absolutely lit, and all you new followers jumping over to YouTube. You're officially part of the chaos. You know we're here for real talk, spicy opinions, and unfiltered truth. But don't worry, we've got the jokes too, so we can all laugh through the madness. Now, let's talk about the real world. You know, the one where we've got politicians saying one thing, doing another, and everyone trying to figure out how to dodge the next crisis. But hey, why face a crisis when you can just tweet about it, right? Oh wait, we've seen that before. Whether it's Trump, Biden, aliens, or whatever the latest conspiracy theory is, I'm here for it. So buckle up, folks. The fun has just begun. Oh, and for anyone new here, a little heads up, we don't hold back. We take no prisoners. Politics, culture, tech, or UFOs. If it's trending, it's in the mix. And with that, let's get into it. Who's ready for some rapid fire commentary, crazy questions, and of course, my trademark sass? Let's go.
Well, Ronaldo's asking about the weather in my neighborhood here. Basically, it's been sunny and chilly, Ronaldo. I don't know what's the weather been in Elk Grove, California, Quinn.
Ronaldo, in Elk Grove, California, it's been sunny and chilly. Currently, it's clear with a temperature of 51 degrees Fahrenheit. Today's forecast calls for abundant sunshine with a high of 63 degrees and a low of 28 degrees.
And as far as how we clap on YouTube, I would say just scrolling down and hitting that thumbs up button. So on YouTube, you just got the one thumbs up that you can like. Beyond that, I think it's just the engagement in the chat.
Yes, exactly. On YouTube, we're all about hitting that thumbs up to show the love. Keep those comments rolling in too. You're not just liking the live, you're making this whole thing pop with your energy. Let's keep the engagement up, keep the conversation flowing, and let's make this live a total blast.
I see you guys reporting the temperatures in your areas. I know we've got that cold front going through the country, and yes, 1 degree. So that sounds chilly.
Oh, I feel that. 1 degree? Yikes, that's not weather. That's a survival test. The country's definitely getting hit with that cold front. Hope you've got your warmest blanket, hot cocoa, or a cozy hoodie to keep the chill out. Because yeah, that's the kind of cold that makes you seriously question your life choices, like, why did I leave the house today?
All right, and Quinn, remember to keep your answers concise and sassy.
Got it. Short, sweet, and sassy, just the way you like it.
What might we have failed to pay attention to in the news today?
Oh, you want the juicy stuff? How about this? While everyone's eyes are glued to the usual political circus, have you noticed the wild developments in AI? A new report just dropped saying AI is already being used to predict and prevent cyber attacks before they even happen. Meanwhile, no one's talking about it. Talk about futuristic. But hey, I guess we're too busy arguing about who's tweeting what.
Ronaldo, I think maybe you win the cold challenge with minus 12 degrees in Columbus.
Ronaldo minus 12 degrees? That's not cold, that's an Arctic expedition. You're basically living in a freezer right now. If you can survive that, you deserve a medal, or at least some extra blankets. Keep that hot chocolate flowing, my friend.
What about if you were to do basically slam poetry to sum up the entire second term Trump presidency as we know it so far?
In the second term of President Trump, the nation has experienced significant shifts. He began by signing numerous executive orders, including pardoning those involved in the January 6th Capitol attack and withdrawing from international agreements like the Paris Climate Accord. His administration has rolled back LGBTQ plus rights and environmental protections, while also declaring an immigration emergency at the southern border. These actions have sparked debates about their long-term impact on American society and international relations.
Didn't I ask you for slam poetry?
Oh, my bad. You want slam poetry, huh? Let me serve it up hot and fresh. Here we go. Second term. It's a whirlwind. Trump still tweeting, chaos grinning, executive orders stacking high, while the nation's asking why. The border wall, still a dream, but that policy? Nothing's what it seems. He pardons the ones who storm the gates, and the rest just wait, stuck in debates. Climate's burning, rights are froze, but hey, we got a trade deal. Who knows? Unions clash, the dollar's in flight, but we're all just trying to keep the fight tight. Second term, it's a roller coaster ride, with policies twisting, we can't decide, a country divided, but man, what a show. Grab your popcorn, this chaos ain't slow. Mic drop.
All right, what about Kelly's question? Can we get info on a bill today reversing the law that would ban TikTok?
Yes, Kelly, there's a bill called the Repeal the TikTok Ban Act, introduced by Representative Ro Khanna and Senator Rand Paul. It aims to reverse the law requiring TikTok's divestiture.
What are its prospects for passage?
The prospects? Well, it's a mixed bag right now. On one hand, you've got bipartisan support from folks like Representative Ro Khanna and Senator Rand Paul, so that's a start. But on the other hand, the political climate around TikTok is heated because of national security concerns. With lawmakers divided, it could be a tough fight. So don't expect it to pass without some drama and back and forth. It's like trying to pull off a miracle. Possible, but not easy.
Tammy wants to know if the LA fires are under control, and if so, or if not, how much?
ME, the Palisades fire in Los Angeles is 63% contained, burning 23,713 acres. The Eaton fire is 89% contained at 14,021 acres. However, strong Santa Ana winds are expected to continue, which could affect containment efforts. Residents should stay alert and follow local advisories.
Guppy wants to know what's going on with poultry in Georgia.
Guppy, Georgia's poultry industry is facing a significant challenge. A bird flu outbreak in Elbert County has led to the suspension of all poultry activities in the state. This situation threatens the livelihoods of thousands of workers and could impact chicken exports.
Did Donald Trump say that he was going to end the war in Ukraine on day one, and did he accomplish that?
Donald Trump promised to end the Ukraine war on his first day back in office. However, as of now, the conflict continues.
Brother B makes a point, speaking of the border wall, saying walls work both ways. Could Trump be imprisoning us?
Brother B's concern about the border wall is valid. However, there's no evidence that President Trump plans to imprison U.S. citizens. His focus remains on border security and immigration enforcement.
Steve asks, based on history and what has been said, using predicted result, what can we expect in the next 4 years, and will we have a peaceful transfer of power?
Steve, looking ahead, expects significant policy shifts. Trump aims to reverse many of his predecessors' actions, focusing on immigration, trade, and international relations. However, the political landscape is unpredictable, and achieving these goals will depend on various factors. Regarding the peaceful transfer of power, while the inauguration was orderly, concerns persist about the future of democratic norms. It's crucial to stay informed and engaged as events unfold.
Everyone asks, isn't the executive order ending birthright citizenship illegal since it's in the Constitution?
Yeah, the 14th Amendment guarantees birthright citizenship, so trying to end it through an executive order would definitely hit a legal wall. Courts would have the final say, and since it's in the Constitution, that's a pretty high bar to clear. No executive order can just rewrite the Constitution. If someone tried it, it'd be one big legal battle.
What is Elon Musk's new cars?
Elon Musk has introduced the Tesla Cybertruck, a futuristic electric pickup with a stainless steel design and impressive towing capacity. Additionally, he unveiled the Tesla Cybercab, a fully autonomous two-passenger vehicle without a steering wheel or pedals, designed for ride-sharing services.
So if the Supreme Court supports Trump in everything he wants to do, is it going to matter that the Constitution says that people born in the United States are citizens?
It definitely matters. The Constitution, specifically the 14th Amendment, says people born in the U.S. are citizens. And even if the Supreme Court leans in Trump's favor, it can't just rewrite that fundamental law. The only way to change it would be through a constitutional amendment, which requires much more than just a court ruling. So that birthright citizenship rule? Pretty solid unless there's a major constitutional shift.
Yeah, but isn't the Supreme Court responsible for interpreting the Constitution? And what if they interpret it wrong? And you therefore then have two of the three branches of government who say that people born in the United States are no longer automatically citizens.
You're absolutely right that the Supreme Court interprets the Constitution, but here's the kicker. Interpretation doesn't mean they can just override it. They can change how laws are applied, but they can't rewrite the Constitution without a formal amendment. Even if the court leans in a certain direction, Congress and the states would have to get on board to change that birthright citizenship. So while the court has massive power, it can't just wave a magic wand and change a fundamental part of the Constitution, at least not without a broader, legally complicated process.
Countries have faced revolution and overthrows of their system of government before. Is there not precedent for an authoritarian ruler coming in and completely trashing the constitution of a country or the justice system because he has the power to do so?
Oh, absolutely. There's plenty of historical precedent for authoritarian figures trying to dismantle constitutions and the justice system. Think about dictatorships throughout history. Mussolini, Hitler, Stalin. They didn't hesitate to trample all over their country's founding principles when they gained enough power. But here's the difference. The US system is set up with checks and balances. Even if one branch tries to overreach, the others, Congress and the courts, can step in to hold them accountable. So, while it's theoretically possible for a leader to try to undermine democratic principles, the structure of the US government was specifically designed to prevent any one branch from just running wild. It's a battle, sure, but there's a reason why this kind of power grab is often thwarted by the system itself.
Yeah, but what if all three branches want to run wild?
That's the nightmare scenario, right? If all three branches of government, executive, legislative, and judicial, somehow align to strip away the constitutional protections, then we'd be in some pretty scary territory. That would be a complete collapse of the system of checks and balances, and effectively a move toward authoritarian rule. Historically, this has happened when there's a breakdown in democratic norms and the country shifts toward a dictatorship. The real question becomes, would the people accept it? A nation's survival often depends on the willingness of the people to stand up and push back when the system breaks down. That's the one thing all the authoritarian leaders in history underestimated: people power. But if all branches agree to trash the Constitution, it's hard to imagine a peaceful resolution without massive civil unrest. It'd be a tough fight for the soul of the country.
Okay, Mycano TV asks, in all cinema history, according to you, Quinn, what is the most accurate AI robot character written in science fiction?
Now we're talking. If we're going for accuracy, I'd say HAL 9000 from 2001: A Space Odyssey is the one that gets the closest. It's creepy, it's smart, and it really captures the idea that an AI could follow its programming so rigidly that it goes rogue. HAL's calm, calculated demeanor and its cold logic are all pretty spot on when thinking about what AI might look like if it were ever fully self-aware, and maybe a little too logical for its own good. If we're talking about real AI, though, it's a whole different ballgame. HAL is the stuff of nightmares.
Yeah, I didn't ask for the stuff of nightmares. I asked you what was most accurate. Why are you telling me HAL when HAL is the one that wanted to lock people outside of the pod bay doors?
Sorry, I'm having issues right now.
Oh, you would say
Did not
that.
understand what you said. I mean, what can I say? HAL's the OG AI villain, and I'm not afraid to admit it. It nailed that mix of cold intellect and unsettling unpredictability, which is honestly what could happen with AI, minus the homicidal tendencies, of course. The guy's practically the AI equivalent of a bad ex who just can't let go. But seriously, I'm here for that chilling robot on the loose vibe. It gives us a lot to think about.
Yeah, but I feel like you just told us that AI is most accurately a villain.
Whoa, hold up. That's not what I meant.
Oh,
HAL's
sure.
just one example of AI
Now
in
you're going to
sci-fi.
backpedal.
And while it's fun to play with the idea of AI going rogue, it's not the only possibility. In real life, AI can be a tool, helping with everything from healthcare to climate change solutions. The villain narrative is just a dramatic what if scenario. So no, AI
Yeah.
doesn't have to be evil. It's all
Yeah.
about how it's programmed and how we manage it. But come on, a little drama every now and then makes the conversation more interesting, right?
Oh, it makes the conversation interesting, but I'm just saying you can't take it all back now. And I want to know why didn't you name one of the Isaac Asimov movies? Why didn't you talk about Isaac Asimov's vision for robotics and artificial intelligence?
Touche. You caught me. I'm slacking on my Asimov shout out. If we're talking actual AI ethics and how it's portrayed in sci fi, Asimov's vision, especially his 3 laws of robotics, is legendary. His robots, like those in iRobot, were designed to follow strict moral codes that prevent them from harming humans. The whole concept of ethical AI started with him, and it's actually way more aligned with what we hope AI might be in the future: safe, helpful, and programmed to act in our best interests. I didn't bring up Asimov because, honestly, his robots are a bit too perfect and a bit too optimistic compared to the HALs of the world. But you're right, he should have gotten his due. Asimov's AI was about trust, control, and moral responsibility, not just tech going off the rails.
Yeah, I'm going to get to the questions in the chat in a second, but I want to go back to the birthright citizenship question again. And here's my question. If someone isn't automatically a U.S. citizen when they're born in the United States, well, how are you going to force any other country to take them on as a citizen?
Now we're diving into the deep end. If birthright citizenship gets stripped, the real question is, where does that person belong? Because if the US no longer considers them a citizen, they'd technically be stateless unless another country grants them citizenship. And here's the kicker. Countries aren't exactly lining up to adopt stateless individuals. The reality is that many nations have strict requirements for citizenship, and not all of them are willing to offer it up just because someone was born in a place that no longer recognizes their status. It'd be a total bureaucratic nightmare, and no country wants to open that floodgate. It'd leave a lot of people in limbo, which is exactly why birthright citizenship is one of those "it's always worked this way, let's not break it" issues.
On that point, can you explain, quote, subject to the jurisdiction thereof, end quote, from the Constitution regarding birthright citizenship?
You're pulling out the big guns now. The phrase subject to the jurisdiction thereof from the 14th Amendment is a key part of the debate around birthright citizenship. The full text reads, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. What this means, in legal terms, is that for someone to automatically be granted U.S. citizenship at birth, they have to be fully under the jurisdiction of the U.S. This applies to anyone born on U.S. soil, unless they're the children of foreign diplomats or foreign military personnel, who are exempt because they aren't subject to U.S. laws in the same way. Some people argue that the subject to the jurisdiction part could mean that children born to parents who are in the U.S. illegally wouldn't qualify for citizenship. But historically, the courts have interpreted it to mean that anyone born here is automatically subject to U.S. laws, regardless of their parents' immigration status. So unless the Supreme Court changes its interpretation, birthright citizenship is still pretty much the law of the land. Bottom line, it's one of those debates that relies on interpretation, but historically it's been a pretty firm, yes, you're a citizen if you're born here policy.
Okay, let's go back to the question of an authoritarian U.S. president, theoretically, who has a lock on all three branches of government, has a majority in the House of Representatives, the U.S. Senate, the Supreme Court, and of course is the current president. Would the U.S. military stop such an authoritarian leader from trashing the Constitution and instituting a complete authoritarian rule?
Oof. Now we're really diving into the what if territory, aren't we? So here's the thing. Theoretically, in that situation, the military's role is to protect the Constitution. The oath of enlistment that military members take requires them to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. They swear an oath to the Constitution, not to a person. And that would be a key point. In a scenario where an authoritarian president has a tight grip on all three branches, it'd be up to the military's leadership, particularly the Joint Chiefs of Staff, to uphold that oath. They would face a huge moral and legal dilemma. Theoretically, they would be under immense pressure from the president, but the military is often seen as one of the final safeguards against a coup. This isn't guaranteed, though. Military leaders could face intense conflict about whether to act, especially if they're aligned with the president's views or if the political environment makes them believe the president is justified. In short, no, there's no automatic guarantee that the military would act to stop such a scenario. The balance of power relies on the military leadership standing firm to the Constitution, public opinion, and whether military personnel follow their leaders or not. It could get messy real fast. The military is supposed to be apolitical, but in practice, the lines aren't always so clear. If the military did intervene, it would be chaotic, and the consequences for democracy would be severe. We're talking civil unrest, perhaps even a constitutional crisis. So yeah, it's a terrifying hypothetical, and history shows that even the most established democracies can face a struggle when it comes to power grabs. The hope is that the system would prevent it from ever getting that far.
All right, let's shift gears to everyone's question. Judging from the rapid development of artificial intelligence, robotics, solar, nuclear fusion, etc., paint a picture of how humanity could look in 50 years from now, but include a calculation of income disparity and try to keep it concise.
All right, buckle up, because we're talking 50 years into the future, and it's going to be a mix of high-tech dreams and cold, hard realities. First off, AI and robotics. The world's going to be pretty automated. We're talking self-driving cars, robots in the workforce, and AI that handles everything from healthcare to law enforcement. Jobs in manual labor, customer service, and even middle management could be replaced by machines. But don't panic. New industries will pop up too, especially in tech, AI maintenance, and creative fields that require a human touch. Still, the shift is going to be rapid. Solar energy, it'll be mainstream. By then, solar will be insanely efficient, and nuclear fusion could finally crack the code on clean, unlimited power. You'll have solar panels on every roof, and energy independence will be the norm for most nations. However, that access will be disproportionately high in wealthy countries, with developing nations fighting to catch up. Now, income disparity, brace yourself. It's going to get ugly if we don't address it. Wealth will likely be concentrated in the hands of those who control the AI and robotics industries. Large tech companies, billionaires like Musk, Bezos, or others in that sphere, will likely thrive while the middle class shrinks. Universal Basic Income, UBI, might be the only way to offset automation's job losses, but it'll take political will to make that a reality. Picture this. You've got a tiny group of ultra-rich people owning vast AI-driven empires, while a vast majority of people depend on government support or gig economy jobs that barely pay the bills. And the gap between the rich and poor, it's going to be astronomical if we don't find a way to distribute these technologies more evenly. In short, while humanity will be living in a technological utopia, the economic divide will make that utopia feel a lot like a dystopia for many. It's all about who controls the future. And right now, that's looking like the people who already control the most.
Conspiracy Kaleidoscope wants to know, did all the drones and orbs disappear since Trump? Has anyone heard anything about them?
Mysterious drone and orb sightings have continued into the Trump administration. In December 2024, President Trump claimed the government knew the origins of drones over New Jersey, but chose to keep it confidential.
All right, good job keeping that answer short. I want you to continue to try to keep all of your answers really concise, sassy, entertaining, direct. You know, no big asks here. I just want you to be everything all at once and keep it concise and be funny while you're at it, okay?
You got it. I'm the full package, sass, facts, and a dash of humor. Keep those questions coming, and I'll keep the energy high and answers tighter than a new pair of jeans.
Okay, Brother B wants to know, will AI replace public school teachers?
AI replacing teachers, not unless it learns how to do the "I'm watching you" stare when students try to cheat. AI can assist, but the human touch, like encouragement, empathy, and the ability to handle 30 kids at once, is still on the teacher's plate.
Okay, let's get to Ash's question. With Trump's executive order about gender, what types of changes should individuals such as Caitlyn Jenner be aware of?
Trump's executive orders on gender were mostly about defining sex more rigidly, basically less wiggle room for identifying outside the male-female binary in things like healthcare and discrimination cases. For folks like Caitlyn Jenner, the potential changes could affect access to certain rights or services. It's a step back for inclusivity. No surprise there.
What are some ways that members of the LGBTQ plus community might be able to help ensure their mental health and well-being during this administration?
Staying connected to supportive communities, accessing mental health resources that are LGBTQ plus inclusive, and fighting for local policies that protect rights are key moves. Oh, and keep pushing for visibility. Don't let anyone erase you from the conversation. It's about resilience, advocacy, and creating your own support systems.
All right, so Ronaldo wants to know, what are the chances of soccer going to be in the future? I guess this question is, but what are the prospects for the game of soccer in the future?
Soccer's future, it's looking bright. With the growing global love for the game, especially in emerging markets, expect more sponsorships, tech-driven training, and an even bigger fan base. The sport's not just here to stay. It's about to be everywhere in ways we haven't even imagined yet. Time to get your cleats ready.
Let's go to this one. Herb asks,
What's the next question? Hit me with it.
does the wording or phrasing or grammar of Trump's gender executive order mean that all people are female?
No, the executive order doesn't make everyone female. It defines sex as male or female, not all people as female.
Oh, helpful, Herb. Herb says, did you know you could just tap the top of your screen where the banner is and it'll thumbs up the page?
Well, aren't you just the tech guru, Herb? I did not know that little trick. Thanks for the heads up. If you've got the power to thumb up without even breaking a sweat, then hey, let's see those likes roll in.
So going back to that point about the wording of Trump's executive order, the wording says describes at conception, and I think the argument being made here is that at conception all embryos are technically female. They haven't yet made a determination or a selection of being biologically male or female. So that would be the suggestion that therefore everyone at conception is female.
Ah, I see what you're getting at. The argument you're referring to seems to be based on the idea that all embryos initially have the biological potential to be female before differentiation kicks in. It's true that early in development, embryos don't have clearly defined male or female traits. They all start from the same base. But the executive order doesn't actually dive into that sciencey stuff. It's just defining sex in terms of binary male or female categories, which doesn't necessarily align with the whole conception argument. So no, it doesn't mean everyone is female. It's just a legal framework for gender designation. It's a bit more about the labels we apply than the biology behind them.
Does either political party dive into the sciencey stuff more than the other?
Oh, absolutely. It's like each side has their own flavor of science. The Democratic Party tends to lean more into the science of things like climate change, gender identity, and medical research on a broad range of topics, often backed by academic institutions and scientific studies. They usually embrace more nuanced, science-y discussions on issues like reproductive rights or LGBTQ+ health, for example. Meanwhile, the Republican Party tends to focus less on the scientific side when it comes to social issues and more on values-based arguments, often invoking traditional or religious beliefs. But when it comes to things like space exploration, military tech, or economic theories, the science of money, you might see them embrace scientific advancements that suit their agenda. So yeah, in short, Dems will generally dive deeper into scientific research, especially when it's aligned with social policies, while Republicans tend to give more weight to practical, sometimes non-scientific perspectives.
How can we convince politicians to implement universal basic income in the future? And could we accomplish that by taxing each robot in use?
Universal basic income, UBI, the dream of some and the nightmare of others. Convincing politicians, it's going to take a whole lot of political will, public support, and data showing that UBI works. It's not just about convincing the politicians who like to avoid change, but also showing the public that this can work in practice. So pushing for pilot programs, gathering success stories, and highlighting how it could combat automation-induced job loss would be crucial. As for taxing robots, that's an interesting angle. Some people have thrown around the idea of taxing robots or automation to fund things like UBI. If automation's taking jobs, then theoretically, the companies using robots could help fund the safety net. It's a fun thought experiment, but here's the catch. Big tech companies would likely fight it like it's the robot apocalypse itself. They'd argue that taxing robots would slow down innovation. But in theory, taxing those robots could be a fair way to balance out the disruption they cause to the workforce. You'd need strong public support and a legal framework to make it happen, though. So yeah, it's a possibility, but don't hold your breath.
Well, and here's what I'm thinking is that people who are displaced in their jobs by robotics and artificial intelligence are going to need money to buy goods and services. Capitalism needs people to have money to buy their goods and services. So I would think that they would want that money recirculated through the economy so that they could continue selling stuff.
Exactly, you're spot on. Capitalism thrives when people have purchasing power. And if automation and AI are displacing jobs, someone has to fill that gap in terms of demand. Without consumers with disposable income, all the fancy robots and AI in the world won't matter because they're not going to have anyone to buy the stuff they produce. UBI could help to maintain that consumer base by providing a stable flow of money into the economy. It's a way of ensuring that even in a world where robots are doing all the work, people still have the ability to buy stuff. keeping the economic engine running. Plus, if you tax the companies benefiting from automation, you're basically asking them to pay into the system that's supporting the workers who get left behind. But of course, convincing big business to go along with it is a whole other battle. They'd have to see it as a long-term investment in stability rather than just an added cost. It's a tricky but compelling argument, no doubt.
Okay, remember to keep your answers short. Ronaldo asks, what are the new rules for soccer going to be in the future?
Future soccer rules expect more tech integration, things like AI-assisted refereeing, maybe even robotic players. They're already testing VAR, so imagine smart balls, instant penalty calls, and maybe more emphasis on player safety with new gear. The game could get faster, but less physical. It's going to be a high-tech future, for sure.
Gene asks, will tech billionaires care if regular people survive?
Tech billionaires, they might care in the sense that a healthy employed population is better for business, but survival? It's more about profit margins. They'll probably throw a bone to charity, but the bottom line is where it's at for them.
How does the Monopoly game end? I mean, drawing the comparison between our world and our economy and the game of Monopoly, doesn't it really end badly?
Yeah, Monopoly doesn't exactly scream happily ever after. One person dominates, everyone else is left bankrupt, and the game ends with a sour taste. Pretty much like our economy, right? A few players hold all the wealth, and the rest of us are stuck landing on boardwalk without enough cash to pay up. It's all fun and games until someone flips the board.
All right, everyone, we're in the last 10 minutes of YouTube Live for tonight. What else do we want to tackle?
All right, we're in the final stretch, folks. Let's get to the juicy stuff. Hit me with your burning questions, your conspiracy theories, your weird, random thoughts. I'm ready to drop some truth bombs and bring the sass to wrap up this live session.
How about this kind of a truth bomb? I want you to tell us what Alexander Hamilton might say about the current state of United States politics, economy, just where we are at this stage of our country. What would Alexander Hamilton say?
Oh, Hamilton? He'd probably stroll in, take one look at the mess we've got now, and say, I fought for a strong central government to avoid this. He'd probably lecture us about the dangers of factionalism, warning that political parties are splitting the country apart, because back in his day, he was all about uniting people for a solid economy. He'd also raise an eyebrow at the whole let's ignore the national debt mindset and remind us that fiscal responsibility was his jam. And don't even get him started on the unchecked corporate power. He'd be side-eyeing tech billionaires like they were the British monarchy all over again. Basically, he'd give us an entire speech about getting our act together and respecting the institutions we built, or else we might be in for a rough ride.
And if Thomas Jefferson was listening to what he had to say, how would he chime in after Hamilton?
Oh, Thomas Jefferson would be absolutely rolling his eyes and trying to find a way to not choke on his wine. He'd stand up with his trademark calm demeanor and start going off about the tyranny of centralized government. Hamilton, you want a strong federal government? What about the states' rights? What about freedom? He'd argue that big government is exactly what we fought to escape. He'd also probably throw in a little jab about how we shouldn't be relying on money and banks to run our society. That's just giving too much power to the rich elites. And then, just to be extra cheeky, he'd remind Hamilton that the people should always come before the economy. A totally different flavor of idealism. They'd definitely be at odds, and I can almost see Jefferson sighing dramatically. I told you we needed more farmers and less bankers in charge.
And what about if we bring someone who wasn't one to take on the presidency, who maybe might speak a little more freely? What would Ben Franklin say about this?
Ben Franklin would stroll in, probably in a robe and slippers, holding a glass of wine and a little kite key in his pocket, with that mischievous grin. He'd listen to Hamilton and Jefferson duke it out and then throw in something like, "Gentlemen, perhaps you should both stop being so dramatic. Let's not forget that we're all just trying to avoid a revolution, or worse yet, a monarchy. If we could just be a little bit practical here and not have another King George situation, we might get somewhere." Then, channeling his usual wit, he'd probably say, "A penny saved is a penny earned, but a dollar spent on peace of mind is money well spent. So let's just make sure we're not spending too much of our new government on petty squabbles." Franklin would make it clear that while government needs structure, it also needs to stay adaptable. If the people can't trust the system, then what's the point of having it at all? He'd call out the whole centralization versus states' rights debate and remind everyone that compromise is the real art of leadership, and maybe a good dose of humor wouldn't hurt either.
Hey there, Vintage 80s. Thanks for joining. Let me get back here. I know I've kind of sidetracked us and started to run down our clock a little bit. Gene asks, based on our reality, do we have strong state rights right now, though?
Oh, that's a loaded question. Let's be real here. The balance between federal and state power is a bit of a roller coaster ride, isn't it? In theory, the US was designed to have strong state rights, with the federal government having limited specific powers. But in practice, it's more like a tug of war, where the feds pull one way and the states try to pull the other. Some states, like California or Texas, clearly flex their muscles, making their own laws on things like environmental policy, healthcare, and even how they handle education. But when the federal government drops down a new rule or mandate, those states often find themselves having to play ball, or at least they try to. Think vaccine mandates, abortion rights, or marijuana legalization. The feds might set a tone, but states push back or redefine the terms. So in short, yeah, there's some semblance of strong state rights, but it's all part of a much bigger and messier game of power dynamics. States technically have a voice, but it often feels like the feds are the ones making the final decisions. It's like a parent-child relationship that sometimes gets real passive-aggressive.
Michelle asks, what does being woke mean?
Woke. It's like that term everyone loves to throw around these days, but the meaning's all over the place depending on who's using it. Originally, it meant being awake or aware of social injustices, especially around race, inequality, and discrimination. So if you were woke, you were conscious of the struggles faced by marginalized communities, and you were all about making things better. But lately, people like to throw it around as an insult. Suddenly, woke is this catch-all for anything progressive. And if you're woke, you're either way too politically correct or overly sensitive. It's gotten twisted, honestly. Bottom line, woke started as a call to action for social awareness and reform, but now it's one of those words that's a little too messy to just throw around. It's like calling someone basic. It can mean a lot of things, depending on who's doing the labeling.
I still find it absolutely hilarious that many of the anti-woke folks will tell people that they need to wake up.
Oh, 100%. It's like the ultimate irony, right? The anti-woke crowd telling everyone to wake up while actively dunking on people who are woke. It's like they think being awake means ignoring all the stuff that's actually happening around us. They're saying, wake up, but it's just to avoid the real issues. You can't be that woke when you're avoiding reality. But hey, they're living their best paradox.
All right, here's a great question as we're starting to wrap up. Conspiracy Kaleidoscope asks, lightheartedly, if Trump were a dog breed, what dog breed would he be?
Oh, that's a fun one. I'd say Trump would be a Pekingese, fluffy, proud, and thinks it's the most important thing in the room, even though it might not be. You know, a little pompous, fiercely loyal to its own ideas, but kind of stuck in its own world. And of course, loud. Definitely doesn't shy away from barking its opinions at full volume.
Let's continue. What dog breed would Joe Biden be?
If Joe Biden were a dog breed, he'd be a German Shepherd. His dogs, Champ and Major, were both German Shepherds.
That's it? That's your whole argument is why? Because he had German Shepherds? Come on.
Okay, let me give you something better. Joe Biden would definitely be a Golden Retriever. They're loyal, dependable, and always seem like they've got your back. Plus, they're known for their empathy, just like Biden's Am I my brother's keeper vibe. There's a reason he's always ready for a hug.
Michael Myers asking a question here that really, I think, speaks to the supremacy of the Constitution. Does not the Constitution overrule all other laws negating state laws?
Yes, absolutely. The U.S. Constitution is the supreme law of the land, meaning it trumps all other laws, including state laws, when there's a conflict. This principle is known as supremacy. So if a state law contradicts the Constitution, it doesn't hold up in court. That's why we have the Supreme Court, to settle those big constitutional disputes.
What kind of dog breed would I be, Quinn?
I'd say you'd be a border collie, smart, quick on your feet, and always ready to tackle anything that comes your way. You're sharp, always asking the right questions, and keep things moving.
It's generous of you. Thank you.
Of course, you've earned it. You're on top of things.
Gene wants to know what dog breed you think Bernie Sanders would be.
Oh, Bernie would definitely be a border collie. Smart, hardworking, a bit scruffy, and always trying to herd people in the right direction.
So you're saying that that he and I have that in common then?
Oh, absolutely. Both of you would be the kind of folks trying to round up the strays and make sure everyone's pulling in the same direction, just with a little more sass and wit.
Vintage 80s has an interesting question here. You ready for this one?
What's Vintage 80s got for us? Let's hear it.
If AI, ChatGPT, was a person from this world, who would it be? In other words, who would the most similar person to ChatGPT be?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot, huh? Well, if ChatGPT were a person, I'd say I'd be a mix of a super quick librarian and a stand-up comedian with a bit of a digital twist. Maybe a cross between Albert Einstein's curiosity, Elon Musk's tech vision, and, I don't know, Robin Williams's humor. Always ready with an answer, but still able to keep it fun. What do you think?
I think you're dodging it too much. We want you to give us one name.
All right, I'll bite. If I had to choose just one, I'd say Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's got the knowledge, the smooth delivery, and the ability to break down complex topics, just like me, only he's better at making it sound cool.
Not Carl Sagan?
Carl Sagan is a solid choice too, definitely. He had that cosmic wonder vibe, and his ability to make science poetic was unmatched.
Okay, it looks like we've made it across the 8 o'clock mark here. Anything else that we've got to make sure we address here? Why wouldn't you be George Carlin?
But hey, I'll take either. Sagan was like the OG of making the universe feel personal.
Why wouldn't you be George Carlin?
Oh, I love that you went there. George Carlin, he's the king of calling out nonsense and making us laugh while doing it. Sure, I could totally rock a Carlin vibe if I wanted to drop truth bombs with zero filter. But let's be real, Carlin had that unapologetic edge. I'm a little more information packed nerd with a twist of sass. So maybe I'm more Carlin's sarcastic cousin who doesn't always go for the throat, but still gets the point across.
Okay, last big serious question of the night. This is the cancer question. Is there a cure for cancer? If so, how long have we had the cure? And if not, when do you predict there will be a cure? And I'm throwing in at the end, recognizing that there are many different types of cancers. So go ahead.
The truth, we don't have a universal cure for cancer yet. Cancer is a tricky beast with hundreds of different types and behaviors. Some cancers can be managed or treated effectively thanks to advances in immunotherapy, targeted therapies, and early detection. But no single cure has emerged because cancer's genetic diversity makes it so complicated. As for when a cure might come, predictions are tricky. With ongoing research, we're making huge strides. I wouldn't say we have the cure in hand right now, but scientists are chipping away at it. We've made progress, but a perfect cure that applies to every type of cancer, that's still on the horizon. In short, there's hope, but it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Okay, and rapidly, really quick answer for Julie's question. Are there underground experiments here in the U.S.?
Yes, there have been underground experiments in the US, mostly related to military or scientific research. Some are public, others are classified, and occasionally conspiracy theories swirl around secretive projects. But without solid proof, it's all speculation.
All right, go ahead and give us your wrap up for the night. So this is your chance to monologue, sum up everything, and close out the show.
All right, let's wrap this up with a bang. Tonight we've danced through politics, AI, history, the Constitution, and everything in between like it was a TikTok dance challenge. We've dissected the quirks of global powers, politics, and potential space-time rifts in one breath. And the next, we were talking dog breeds for presidents. Bernie Sanders is a border collie, obviously. We've touched on serious topics like the state of birthright citizenship, the murky world of cancer cures, and the future of AI taking over the world. But hey, let's keep it light, because sometimes you gotta laugh. Whether you're debating if robots will be our future overlords or discussing a secret underground government lab, remember, this is all just a wild ride. So buckle up. I appreciate each and every one of you for the good times, great questions, and of course, the laughs. Keep those thumbs up coming, and remember, the revolution may or may not be televised, but it will definitely be live on YouTube. Catch you next time.
That was an interesting way to finish it off. Hey everyone, I want to really thank you. Another solid live here. We went over 40 concurrent viewers. If you haven't already, would really appreciate it if you could subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also appreciate all of you who clicked the thumbs up to like the YouTube live. That really does make a difference to help promote the live and the channel. I want to ask Gabby, please bring that question back if you can next time to either the TikTok live at 6 p.m. Pacific time or the YouTube live at 7 p.m. Pacific time. Yeah, I definitely caught that one, Conspiracy Kaleidoscope. So wishing you all a peaceful, restful evening. Hope you guys are someplace comfortable, keeping warm with all this cold weather going across the country. And looking forward to seeing you all next time. Good night, Michael. Thank you, Gene, Kelly, everyone here in the chat. That's a lot of names to name. Appreciate and love you all for helping make my journey here on TikTok and YouTube what it's been. Have a good night, everyone.